I mean, when I think about this every time, the steps that had to have occurred in my life to bring me to the point of taking Shahada is just like, you know, no human being can make that happen. You know what I mean? We just can't, right? That's from God. There's no way. And now I'm starting to listen to some of the lectures, and I learned about the Adhan, and boom, for 2 weeks straight, I cried. I swear, I cried every single day. My heart was heavy. My chest was like a burden. It was weighing on me, right? So while I'm going through these 2 weeks of listening to the Adhan, I think I listened to the Adhan multiple times throughout the day, every day. You know, just for what reason? No idea. So what is this from? Where is this? Why is this happening? So this is 2 weeks now. 2 weeks of, I'm telling you guys, tears, like a heavy chest, heart, soul. Like, I am done every single day, emotionally, mentally. I'm done for no reason. But every day I'm listening to the dance. Hi, this is going to be my Revert story. Many of you have asked for this on TikTok, so I'm finally going to do it. I said I was going to do it. It's taken me a while to do it. There's been a lot of drama, let's say, and within the online community on TikTok, as I should say, for the Ummah. So I had to just kind of get through that, and that's a whole story in itself. But let's dive right into it. This is how I remembered, that's the key, that I'm Muslim. So, where was I before I remembered? Where was I in my life? Man, you know, it was a rough couple of years. Life wasn't going as I wanted to at all. I was engaged, and you know, that was falling apart. It was, you know, I was doing everything I could to keep it together. Let's call it that. You know, it finally, I ended it, right? I brought that to a close after, you know, some events occurred. I still tried, but, you know, recognized, hey, you know what, this isn't good for me. Yeah. So, and it's my fault. Ultimately my fault. You know, I kept myself in a place that I shouldn't have, and I own that completely. So just so it's said, I'm not here in any future video or anything like that, just in case anything comes up. I am not here dogging the other person. I don't blame them for anything. It is what it is. I take responsibility for myself, my own actions, and me just being in a place for too long where I shouldn't have been, and, you know, just being stubborn about it, and ultimately just hurting myself in the process. So that's where I was, right? I was coming out of that ended, and, you know, I'm in this house, I'm alone. I'm, you know, of course, many men are going to say this, but, you know, I'm in tears, I'm upset, I'm angry, all these emotions, all these things, right? And, you know, more so because of how I treated myself, right? That was the real issue, the real problem. And so, you know, what do I say about that? That's rough, right? You're in a dark place. I'm isolated. I'm alone because I'm in this house, and, you know, my partner's gone, obviously, so I'm still there. And strangely enough, I'm there with all of this stuff, right? All of the stuff that's been accumulated, things that aren't mine but are theirs. And, you know, because of the because of what's it called, COVID, and I mean, I'm not supposed to say that, because of the pandemic. There we go. I'm in a stay-at-home order, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm not trying to see anybody. Of course, during this time, I'm locking out everybody. I'm not talking to a soul. You know, I'm doing my best to stay as isolated as possible while I go through this drama. I believe there'll be more to this story in another video where I kind of share a little bit about where I've been, because I haven't posted content in a couple of years. So that's the thing. Please don't mind the nervousness and how I'm speaking, because I am just crazy nervous doing this for whatever reason. So that's where I was, right? I was in this dark place. I'm alone. I'm in this house, yeah. And you know, I'm just surviving, like, emotionally, right? I'm surviving emotionally. I'm numb to things, all this stuff. So it got to a point after some months where I'm like, okay, I need to socialize. I need to engage with another human being somehow. Well, I'm still in lockdown. It's still, you know, the pandemic's going on. So how do I do this, right? And I want to speak to people that I don't know, right? I don't need anyone knowing who I am to ask me how things are, because none of this has been made public, etc., etc., at least on my side. So I jumped to online, of course, right? I jumped to Reddit, you know, good old Reddit. I come across some communities, and I'm like, okay, cool, you know, here's a community, you know, you go through the list of like, join this WhatsApp group, join this group, blah, 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 blah. So I find a group, right? Just people trying to sort out going through the pandemic. And I joined this group. It's a very cool group of people. We end up going on Discord, just a smaller collective of us, and we just get along, right? We hit it off. And this is we got people from Brazil, we got people in the UK, Germany. Like, it's a crazy mix of people from all over the world, right? And different languages as well. So we're getting along, we're talking, we're all these things. It was really good, really, really good time. And, you know, one of these individuals I got along with, right? So we decided, hey, you know, let's check up on each other. So we're building this relationship. We're checking on each other. How are you doing? We have some shared interests in, you know, in creativity, them being a writer, myself being more of a visual artist. So we have this kind of dynamic going on, and so it was good, right? And that was really awesome. And that's where I was. That kind of sets the groundwork for where I was coming from. Now, keep in mind, you know, I'm still, of course, in the throes of my own numbness, right, from just the isolation now. So now I'm like a month in, almost a year, like a full year in, just like isolation on my own. And of course, dealing with the end of that relationship and all of the extended relationships that were created because of that, right? That I'm now breaking off because I was very tied into their family, etc., etc. Now, anyways, so, you know, emotionally, I'm still a wreck, but I'm doing my best to kind of pull myself out, to try and, you know, get back to living, get back to life. You know, remember who Cyrus is before Cyrus wasn't Cyrus for way too long, way too long. Now, you know, yeah, all right, so, okay, so the steps, I mean, when I think about this every time, the steps that had to have occurred in my life to bring me to the point of taking Shahada is just, like, you know, no human being can make that happen. You know what I mean? We just can't, right? That's from God. There's no way. All right, so let's continue on, right? The steps getting to my introduction to Islam, right? My introduction. All right, so back to the story. So I met this person. We're getting along. We vibe. We're cool. That's it. We're just cool, right? Good friends. And one of the things I notice is just their character, like such an incredible character about this person. And I just kept remembering this and, you know, recognizing it over and over and over again. So at one point during a conversation, they mentioned something about Islam. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it wasn't anything pushy. It wasn't direct. It was literally just in passing. Right? It didn't become the focus of the conversation or anything like that. But that right there is what clicked for me. Because I thought, okay, I've never knowingly met someone who was Muslim, right? And here's this character. So in my mind, I'm trying to figure out, all right, you have this amazing character, right? And by all means, this could have just been this person. But at the time, for my mind, it was, look, I know a lot of people. I've known a lot of people. You, however, are very different in just how you hold yourself, what you do, how you think, you know, just your general character, your demeanor, how you treat other people. So I'm like, all right, I need to kind of look into this. So I started looking into it on my own, and what I'm using to look into it were debates. I was looking at debates. Dr. Nair, I always get this name wrong. So I apologize for that. Please forgive me. But, you know, you guys will know who I'm talking about. And from the One Piece channel, I believe he started that as well. So I'm looking at these debates, and you know, I'm getting all this logic from him. Like, oh, okay, yeah, this is cool. I mean, this makes sense to me. I get this. This is dope. This is dope. And so one day I decided, all right, let me ask some questions, right? So I asked my friends some questions about Islam. You know, I'm curious, and you know, as they do, you know, a respectable Muslim, you know, what they do is like, look, you know, brother, I don't got answers for some of these things you're asking me. I don't have the answers, right? So, you know, don't take my word for it, but maybe I could put you in touch with an imam, someone who's more educated than I, to just answer some of your curiosities. So that falls into motion, right? And we're trying to get into me speaking with this imam who's in another country, by the way, and you know, just for me to ask some questions. Now, here's where it gets interesting for me personally. Okay, it gets really, really interesting. Okay, so we call this like another chapter here of this story. So I'm listening to these debates, right? All right, and now I'm starting to listen to some of the lectures. And I learned about the Adhan. And boom, for 2 weeks straight, I cried. I swear, I cried every single day. Every single day. My heart was heavy. My chest was like a burden. It was weighing on me, right? So while I'm going through these 2 weeks of listening to the Adhan, I think I listened to the Adhan multiple times throughout the day, every day. You know, just for what reason? No idea. Why am I listening to these lectures? The lectures I'm listening to because the logic, the logic that's stemming out of this is incredible to me. Very incredible. So I'm like, okay, all right, I need to, you know, I'm liking this. I'm a very logical person. I'm a nerd. I like logic. I like logic. I like logic. I love it. So I'm listening, right? I'm hearing the lectures. I'm like, okay, all right, I could vibe with this. There's things that are working for me here. And keep in mind, you know, I'm still in touch with my friend. Now I'm starting to kind of let them know, like, hey, you know, I'm going through this feeling, like, it's getting deep. Like, I don't know if you know this feeling, because they're boring, right? But like, I'm breaking, it's heavy, I'm crying, like all these things are coming at me, and I don't know why. I don't know what it's from. I mean, I've done all of my tears and all that stuff from the relationship. I've done all of my tears and all that stuff from the lost extended family, like all these things. I've gone through a lot of this already. So what is this from? Where is this? Why is this happening? So this is 2 weeks now. 2 weeks of, I'm telling you guys, tears, like a heavy chest, heart, soul. Like, I am done every single day, emotionally, mentally. I'm done for no reason. But every day I'm listening to Adhan. Every day I'm either putting on a lecture or I'm putting on a debate, right? Okay, so we finally come time. So this is the Shahada time, right? Now, this is not planned. I had zero intention. Keep in mind, I have not read the Quran. I have not done any real research into it. Honestly, not. It was all feeling. So we finally set a date with the Imam for me to ask some questions. That's all it was supposed to be. Right, it's another brother, so you know that's always a good thing. Alhamdulillah, you know. All right, we got some color. We can share a little something you're going on, right? relatability, right? And so we're talking, right? And during the conversation, man, if I could get the clip, you know, I'll have to send him a message and see if I can get the clip, because I think he recorded it. And I mean, obviously I'm not gonna be able to put it in this video. However, if I can, it'll be its own separate video, and I don't know, I'll figure out how to link it, or I'll just put it online just so it's there. Maybe, if that's something I'm interested in, I don't know. I've heard a lot of Muslims appreciate hearing these kind of stories and seeing, you know, shahada being taken. So anyway, I'm on this phone call. It's a Zoom meeting, right? It's a Zoom meeting, and I'm expecting myself to get in there and start like hammering out some questions, you know? Did I have questions planned? No. Did I know what I'm supposed to be asking? No, I did not. But I'm like, look, I do have a few questions. What those were, I don't even remember. But we get into the conversation, and, you know, my brother's just like, hey, you know, tell me about yourself. You know, so I tell him about my past as a survivor, a little bit about, you know, my life growing up, then, you know, the trauma of my life. Let's call it that, right? And I share that. He listens. You know, he shares some of his story with me, and time's just going by. I'm not asking any questions though, right? I've completely forgot about this. And what happens now is we're getting to the end of the call, and he's like, hey, you know, just so you know, right, you know, whenever, if ever, you decide, you know, you want to enter the fold, this is what we do. We recite something. It's something you can do on your own. You can do it with me here, whenever, and that's it. You know, there's no big ceremony. There's no big ritual. There's none of those things. There's no flash. There's no bang. There's no, you know, it's not. It's a very personal thing. It's you. It's Allah. Like, that's it. And I'll just be here to help you recite it. So I was like, okay, cool, you know, that's pretty dope, right? And again, you know, that works with me in terms of the logic, like things being simple, things making sense. It's like, yeah, you know, if I'm going to be, you know, practicing, right, a religion, then, you know, why do I need an intermediary? You know what I mean? Why do I need someone in between? These are like a lot of questions I had, you know, just growing up about things in religion as a whole, but that could be something completely separate video. I don't know. I don't know why anyone wants to know these things about me, but there it is. So he says this, and I'm like, okay, you know, thanks for letting me know. That's really nice. It's simple. And I pause for a second, and I'm just thinking to myself, okay, well, look, one of the things he said, actually, before I paused, was that he's like, look, anything you want to learn, you can learn it, right? And it reminded me of what I think the doctor in one of his lectures, not his lecture, one of his debates said, you know, that Islam is like a school, right? You enroll and you learn, you get better, and you get better, and you get better, and you get better. And that stuck with me. So, and here's this brother now, this Imam, who I'm talking to on the Zoom, and he's like, hey, you know what? Here's the thing, right? There's a lot to learn. Yeah, he's mentioned something along these lines. I'm not getting this verbatim. But he's like, look, it's something that you learn. It's simple, it's at your own pace, right? So if you ever decided this is just kind of what we do. And, you know, the more you want to learn, there's only so much you can learn and understand being on the outside. It's like, all right, you know, that's cool. So there's me taking this time to just kind of take this information in, and I'm ready to hang up the phone and say my piece, and, you know, be like, look, I'll think about this some more, you know, let me maybe listen to some more lectures, maybe I should finally look into something. And I read a few things, but not the Quran, right? So I look back and I'm just like, you know what? Let's do this. He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, right now, right here, right now. Let's do it. I'm ready. Because I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's all this logic that's coming through to me, right? That are just making practical sense. You know, I've got this feeling happening that I've never had before. And all of it just seems, it's just making sense to me. It's feeling right, it's the thinking seems right, everything. Now, that's my thought process in that moment. And I ask myself, what am I going to do over the next couple of days, the next couple of weeks that's going to, you know, make this any more of a defining choice for me? Because I've never practiced anything before like this, religion-wise. So I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. And took Shahada, And alhamdulillah, that was that. We did it. I recited it. He recorded it, as I mentioned earlier. And he's like, yeah, brother, that's it. So I was like, okay. And I don't remember if it was this phone call or a conversation afterwards, but he had connected me with a group called Embrace, which is like a kind of like a support community for reverts, primarily in the States, I believe in Dallas, and I think they have a couple of chapters across the States. And he's like, look, we could send you like a little package, that'll have a Quran and some other stuff to help you get started. And I was like, well, that's all right, I'll take that, right? And then another call, right? I'm pretty sure that part with the package and stuff like that came afterwards. I'm quite confident, quite confident. Oh, yeah, I took the Shahada, and here I am. Now I'm Muslim, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling any different, so to speak. I'm just like, all right, this is it, right? This is it. So what were my first few steps, after? Was, all right, well, I need to figure out, obvious, one of the biggest things is, okay, let's figure out how to do the prayers, right? Where do I get this information from? And I believe that's where I came into, the Embrace community, because I let them know, hey, I don't know anybody around me, and we're in a lockdown, so it's not like I could just go to a mosque and all these things, right? So with the situation, it's a lot of that time afterwards, those first few weeks, and even up till now, I haven't been to a mosque yet, and it's been a couple of months, but it was, alhamdulillah, having that isolation has been a beautiful thing. After taking Shahada, I will say that. I got my care package, which had a Quran in it, and some other things, some other books and references on how to pray, and some stories about Muhammad, peace be upon him. So it was good. Afterwards, I'm just taking my time, right? And one of the best things I'd say that I did was when I started to read the Quran, and maybe this was about a week or so, or a few days after, maybe a day or two, maybe 2 or 3 days afterwards, I think. And keeping in mind, this was March 12th, so maybe 2-3 weeks before that, afterwards, rather, would have been Ramadan, right? So it's just like, oh, well, dang, now I got to do this fasting thing too. But my first few steps, before Ramadan, I started looking up into the Sunnah, right? Because I really enjoyed the practical, like the habits, right? Some of the things that I learned was just, the wudu and our salah, as well as, some of the sunnah of the Prophet. So a lot of these things appeal to me simply because of my own neurodivergence and just how my brain already is. So in a lot of cases, why I say, so it worked for me this way. And so I started to practice it. I learned about the fasting on Monday and Thursdays. So I started doing that as well, and that was good to do because it also prepared me for Ramadan, which I didn't even know about at the time. And those were my first few steps, right? I started reading the Quran, and what I'm doing, because I stopped for a little bit, for a while now actually, during some other things that have come up. But I would read, and then I would just record myself reflecting on what I'm reading. And that's been exciting. It's been beautiful. So I'm going to post these things, actually. I'm going to post those reflections on what I'm reading, right? And I'm just reading it, the transliteration from Quran.com. That's all I'm doing. And those were my first few steps as a Muslim, right? And, after maybe I think a week or two, and I let my friend know, hey, guess what? And they're all excited, it's like, oh man, that's amazing, like, no way. And so it's great. So it's nice. It was nice to have, a person there who could be like, welcome, right? Welcome. And those were the first few steps. That was it, guys. There is my story. If there's any more, if you guys have any questions or thoughts, or if there's more about it I could share, now that it's been a couple of months and I've come to learn a few things about, Muslims and being a revert, especially with the online community. I could share some stuff. Anyways, I hope this was good. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please do follow, share, all those YouTube things, I guess. Do that stuff. And check out some other videos, because there's going to be a lot more stuff here. All right.